back, gentlemen. We're back. Episode 3, man. I'm super excited because we've been getting good feedback. It's been really cool. And it's awesome to see that people are liking it because also we're having fun. Like it doesn't feel like a job or a work. It's just like we're having a good time talking. We're getting to know each other better. And so it's super awesome, man. This is the one right here. This is the episode. Now, disclaimer, I'm probably going to say that about every single episode because I'm having a lot of fun. There's nuggets in all of them. But this is the one, man. If you're trying to separate from the pack, you're trying to get better, you're trying to, trying to excel. This is the one, man. This is exactly what I want to talk about, separating from the herd. And so I know you guys have personal stories about, of dealing with this kind of thing, right? Separating from the herd, separating from the pack. You kind of you want to get somewhere, man, but you're around people that might not be as motivated as you. So what are some stories or what situation do you guys have? Like what comes to mind when you think about, separating from the pack and having to take the steps to do that?
Yeah, so I'll go first on this one. I had a thought. I think people too often think they have to like call up their friend and say, "Hey, so and so, I can't hang out with you anymore." And maybe some people do that. Maybe some people have to. I think it just you separate from people by putting in the work, and people naturally just go their own way because you're working hard. They don't understand that. They're like, "Why are you working so hard? You have no time to do this. You have no time to do that," and they kind of like pull themselves away from you. And I think that's like natural selection, right? In business. And it's not so much that you don't want to be with them or hang out with them. It's just you just don't have the time. Like you have to set your time very specific and strategic to achieve your goals. Like you have to be calculating to the hour. And so you don't have that luxury to waste time if it's not helping you towards your goals. I think of an example when Morgan and I played football together. We had our regular practice, and football practice, regardless, sports are just they take up so much time. And so we also had a personal trainer. And in between practices, you're like trying to get as much sleep as possible because your body's just dead. And so you're doing all this stuff. And naturally, there's people that are gonna just like slowly fade away out of your lives as you're honing in on your goal. And so it's like it again, it's like that natural selection where people just kind of go their own ways as you're focused, and the people that stay are the ones that are going to help you achieve that. And so I think that's like a huge thing, is like the work ethic is what spreads you apart. What about you, Morgan? What are some examples or stories that you have?
Um, I think starting off, like it's important to understand first, like what is it that you want to get out of whatever you're doing. And so what I mean by that is there's certain things that you're gonna have to do to have to separate from the pack. It's actually a requirement, right? Like if the pack is not going towards your dream, well, then you obviously have to separate from them because you're going for your dream, right? And so, like anything, it's going to be something that's going to hold you back. And so you have to separate. And so, kind of the things that were coming through my mind was like, what kind of things do you have to do to start to separate from the pack? And one of them, like Dylan mentioned, is just being laser focused on your goal, right? Like you got to be laser focused and the work comes in. I think about a few things to separate and even to just like separate, not even from your friends or pack that you're with, but even like the competition, even like other people that are going for their dreams, even your old self. If you're trying to separate from your old self, it's the work ethic, right? It's the discipline. And I think about people that still have their full-time job. This is a big one because people still have their full-time job. They a lot of times, which to me doesn't make any sense, but maybe I'm the weird one, where they'll have their 9 to 5, they'll bust their butt for 30-40 years for a company and a boss, right? That's not their dream. They'll bust their butt, and every time they get home, oh, thank goodness it's Friday, I get to relax. They get back at 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, and all they do is they sit their butt on the couch watching Netflix and just waste the whole friggin' weekend, right? And then what do? Oh, it's Monday. Here we go again. And it blows my mind that people will hate what they do and they'll be like, oh, it's Monday. Oh, thankfully it's Friday. But they'll just slave away for 40 stinking years to go build someone else's dream. It just doesn't make sense to me. And so if you're trying to truly separate and you're trying to be able to create something of your own, well, guess what? You 9 to 5, you get back, your butt better be working on your dream harder than what you're working for someone else's dream. So when you get back home from Monday to Friday, you get home, whatever, eat your food, do what you got to do, kiss your wife, kiss your husband, say hello to the kids, and then boom, for the rest of the night, you better be busting your butt working on your dream. And then Saturdays, Saturdays are
Hey.
separation season right there. So many people are like, yeah, it's Saturday. Here we go. Go on a little vacation, go to the beach, do what I got to do. The winners, the ones that are separating in business and becoming successful, Saturdays are an absolute prerequisite. You have to be busting your butt on Saturday, especially people that are working 9 to 5 still and still have their full-time job and they're not able to dedicate all their time. It's an absolute requirement. It's not even something that you can think about. You have to work on Saturday, especially because you're putting so much time into the 9 to 5 during the week, right? Whatever, people take off Sundays. I personally take off Sundays, right? It's my spiritual day, my day of rest. So cool, do what you got to do. Not everybody does, but it's those things, and that's what was coming to my mind, guys. Like, to separate from the pack, you have to put the work in. You have to be laser focused. To separate from your old self to become successful, it's an absolute requirement, and that's the one thing that I see from people. They want the glory, they want the success, they want the freedom, they want the money, they want the fame, but they can't even motivate themselves to get off their butt when they get home after their 9 to 5. And they can't even motivate themselves to get up early on a Saturday and work the whole day, right? And so that's one of the main things that was just kind of coming to my mind. It's an absolute requirement to be able to try to separate yourself, even if it's a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I had a couple things come to my mind, but you're on a roll, so I was like, nah, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna hold it. But dude, so the first thing was I've obviously shared that video with you. I know you remember when the guy was talking about people who spend their whole life working for a job to get a pension. And
Yes.
he was like, you just put a quick 40 years in, get a pension, whatever. Like, bro, quick 40, but that's your life. What are you talking about? Like, okay. But yeah, dude, that's a really normal thought for a lot of people. That's just like, quick 40, you know what I'm saying? Get a retirement, 401k. I'm like, y'all are wild, man. But okay. But anyways, dude, and then the second thing was obviously people have to give up more time, right? And they got to put more time in. And so Saturdays is huge. That's like, I think that's also really big for your own confidence. Like when you see yourself doing things that other people are not doing, that builds confidence because like, no, I'm working harder. I'm working Saturdays, and they're like chilling. They're at the beach. They're at whatever the fair, whatever. Like you just gotta. It's those small things, man, that actually ends up being big things. But all right, gentlemen, you ready? I'm gonna throw you a curveball. I hope you guys are ready. So I was thinking about this too. What about your spouse? If your spouse, you can't separate from them. You don't want to separate from them. But what about if they're not on the same page as far as where you're trying to go? Now, disclaimer, our ladies might be watching this, so don't say nothing to get you a dog pin tonight. I just want to know because I know somebody's gonna be thinking it. I just gotta play devil's advocate. Like, yo, what about that? What you guys think about that? I'll let you guys choose who's going first.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, I can go first.
Go for it, Morgan.
Yeah, I'll take notes.
Well, listen, I should have told my wife it's this way or no way. So you're either on board or you're not. No, just kidding. Just
cut the video right there. Cut it.
She probably watch right now. She's gonna text me and be like,
I know, dude. What the heck is this?
No, yeah, that honestly is such a good question. It's such a good question. So two things come to my mind. One is my wife and I had tons of conversations, and obviously there was a lot of them that we weren't on the same page, and we had to kind of explain each other's perspectives and point of views, and to figure out what kind of worked for both of us. And so, one, if there's anybody in this situation right now out there that's trying to go for their dream, and they do have a spouse, and they're still trying to figure out how to go about that. one thing I would definitely suggest is to have like intense communication. My wife and I had multiple conversations, and then when it still wasn't like the right fit, we'd go back down, go back to the drawing board, and we talk again. Right? We talk again, and we finally got to a situation where my wife and I understood the schedule. I was good with it. She was good with it. Um, and she kind of bend a little bit, and I bend a little bit, right? And so just to be able to make it work. And so I think that's number one. You have to have intense conversations with your spouse to be able to make sure that both understand each other, or else it's going to create a huge wedge, like huge. The other thing is one of our great mentors in the business that's done amazing things, super successful man. He mentioned that if you're growing and your spouse isn't growing in identity and self progression as well, it's also going to create a wedge. And you guys are going to literally like grow apart from each other until it creates a problem in your marriage. And so that's something that my wife and I have talked about too. And now just being able to help motivate each other. And so my wife, give her a quick shout out. Antoinette Sanchez Hatch on Instagram at Antoinette Sanchez Hatch. Go check her out. She's got a lot of great stuff on fashion, and that's her passion. That's her dream. That's what she loves to do. And so what I do is I try to continue to inspire her to grow in her realm, right? And to continue to give her the fuel that she needs to be able to stay motivated and fired up. So that she's growing and she's progressing the way that she wishes to grow and progress, while at the same time I'm trying to grow and progress. And then for both of us, what we do is we read scriptures together, right? And that helps us both together as a spiritually to be able to progress together. And so that's kind of the things: communication, understanding each other's schedule, intense communication, and then also being able to help motivate each other and help each other grow within each other's respective realms, I guess you could say, and then also spiritually together. That's kind of some of the stuff that we've done that's helped us so far.
That's super awesome, man, for sure. I think that's huge too, that people realize that you guys don't have to be doing the exact same things. It's just the fact that you're growing wherever you want to grow. So that way you guys are staying on the same level as far as like your identities go. Because, obviously, like you said, like that's going to be an issue for sure. If you're over here, $1 million mindset, and then the person over here is like, they're just kind of chilling, eating Cheetos and whatever. Like they're not really, you know what I'm saying? Like, nothing wrong with Cheetos. Don't sue me. But anyways, that's super awesome. I just had to throw that in there because that was super cool. What about you, Dylan? You ain't getting away, bro. What do you think?
I was about to say ditto. So, as Morgan was talking, see, that's the cool thing about going second, is that you get ideas as someone else talks. But I wrote 3 things down. First one was your spouse has to see your vision. They don't have to have the same passion as you, though, right? Like a lot of people try to convince their spouse or like work with them or whatever. You guys don't, like Antoinette, she likes fashion, and Morgan's running his business, but they both have a vision and a goal that they're both reaching towards together. And I think that's huge. A lot of people try to convince their spouse to work in business with them, and it just feels like they're not on the same level, And so understanding the vision, where you're going, I think that's huge, because you know what it's going to take, right? So if, like Morgan said, you are working on those Saturdays, you're sacrificing, your spouse has to see why. Now, the other thing is you have to work. You can't be at the office chilling on Instagram, whatever, playing around. You have to be working, because if you're not working, then you're wasting time. What are you doing? Your spouse has every reason to be mad at you, right? So they got to see the vision. You got to be working. And then the third thing, again, is they don't have to have the same passion. And so understand that. Don't force it on them. Otherwise, it's going to be a scenario of disaster. They're going to resent you going into the office, pushing your business, your fashion, your skateboarding, clothing, whatever it is. They're going to resent it because they are feeling like they have to have the same dream as you. And that's huge. So make sure you help them achieve their goals, and you help them understand how they can help you achieve your goals, and you both push together and build that empire. But don't think you got away, Leighton.
I was gonna say I'm the orchestrator, baby. Come on, I just orchestrate the conversation. You know what I'm saying? No, man, it's
I
funny.
know you got stuff, man, because
No,
you're a
for sure, dude.
businessman.
I was gonna say I'm gonna give like an actual situation, because we just had this talk like 3 days ago. We were in the car driving. I feel like that's like the best place to talk, because you're just driving. You guys can be alone. I mean, the baby was in the back sleeping, but still, like, you kind of just get to talk, right, and just drive, and you're a little distracted, right? So, anyways, we had this conversation, and we're just talking about growth and wanting to do more, and making sure that even if it's like working out together, like taking care of our bodies more, like building our businesses, helping each other out, working as a team in just all aspects of life. It's something that we have to actively work towards of doing it more consistently. And it's just those kind of conversations where it's like you guys have to be, like you said, Morgan, earlier, just have that transparency and talking all the time, that communication. People hear about it all the time: communicate, but people don't do it. That's why we talk about it so much, because it's so important. And so I think it's huge for, like you said, where it's not just you guys don't have to have the same dream, the same vision, but you have to be growing, though. Like, you guys both have to be like working towards something. And so that conversation helped a lot, because now, I mean, everything was already good, but now it feels lighter, like happier. Like, we're kind of like, there's not, it was almost like we got to talk about something and get it off our chest in a way, because we both feel like, yeah, no, I feel like that too. I feel like, we could be, we could be working more as a team. We could be happier. We could be this and that, if we just continue to have these kinds of conversations, and just keep each other accountable. And so that was a situation that literally just happened a couple of days ago, because we have to be active on doing that too, not letting too much time go past when we have things on our mind. And obviously business is on my mind all the time, and growth is on my mind all the time. And so it doesn't have to be the exact same for her, but it's just one of those things where if we can be on the same page, and communicate more, then it's just going to make everything smoother. So I don't really know if there are any nuggets in there, but that was a situation that I just had, and I was like, bro, I gotta share it, just because it really does help. And it was awesome. So
If you don't mind, I want to just kind of jump in. I thought there's huge nuggets in there, dude. Like, that's super super important. And one of the things that you said that stood out to me that I wanted to kind of mention, um, is two things. One is your cash flow will never outpace your self progression and your self identity. And so, and there's a reason why I'm starting off with this. I'll connect it. But your cash flow will never outpace your self worth, right? Or your self identity, your self progression. So you have to become the person that's capable of making, whatever, $100,000, multiple six figures, eventually seven figures, eight figures, whatever it is that you're going for. You have to become that person in your mindset, the way you present yourself, everything. Because if you think about it, if you have a business and you're building your team, you're building your empire, and all of a sudden it just booms to a multi hundreds of thousands $1 million business, but you're still thinking like a 9 to 5 employee making $20 an hour, it's not going to work. Your business is going to crumble, right? So you have to become that person before you can lead the people, before you can make this business be where it needs to be. But you can do it simultaneously. So you got to be continually growing as fast as you can to become that version of yourself. The reason why I say this, though, is because throughout all of that, you're going to be putting in so much work, right, in yourself, in the business, to be able to make it to where you need to get to. One of the things that's really important when it comes to having an understanding with your spouse is don't forget to put in date nights. Don't forget to put in little times where you guys got to go out and do your thing and be together, just like you were saying, Leighton, even if it's just a drive in the car. And so I think that was a huge nugget. Like, even if it's just a drive in the car where you guys are alone, so many times we're just business. Like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to work from 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night every single day. And then all of a sudden you look up and it's been a month and you're like, freak, man, like I haven't even like done anything with my wife. Right. And so I think that's huge. Schedule it in, sit down with your spouse in the beginning of the week, the beginning of the month, really the beginning of the month, and go over your calendar and put in what days you guys are going to have your date night, right? From this time to this time on this day, this day, this day, because they're the most important. So put them in first and then build your business around that. And that's your number one appointment, right? Doesn't matter if you got someone that you're going to sit down with that's going to give you $1 million, right? Like that is your number one appointment because that's your eternal spouse, right? And so I think that's so important. So that was a huge nugget. Put your family, your spouse into the calendar, make sure that's a non-negotiable and give them that time that they need, and then build your business around it. So just wanted to kind of mention that because it's a huge one for a lot of people.
Totally.
It's like we're serving we're McDonald's over here, Golden Arches, serving all these nuggets.
You feel me? For a 20 piece or 40, what you need, bro? That's crazy. They actually sell like 40 pieces, bro. Like anyways, that's a whole other. I'm just thinking about that. Like, bro, somebody's really sitting down watching Friends and eating 40 nuggets. That's crazy.
Morgan will eat that sweet and sour, bro. That was a sweet and sour sauce.
So he took words out of my mouth. I was about to say, as long as it's sweet and sour, I'll take that 40 all day.
Hey. Man, y'all. All right, never mind. I'm not gonna make it a nugget conversation. I'm about to say we're gonna argue, man. Barbecue versus star. Anyways, not gonna go there.
Next episode 4. Here
For real.
Yeah.
Battle of the sauce.
Well, can I follow up with something on that though?
For sure, dude.
I had a thought as Morgan was saying, date nights and everything. Something that one of my mentors had told me that really hit home was when you're at the office or when you're putting in work, make sure you're intentional. When you're on date night with your family, make sure you're intentional. What I mean by that is a lot of the times I would feel bad as I'm working. And I'm like, oh, I'm away from my family. And then as I'm with my family, I'm like, shoot, I'm not building up the business. So I was always there, but I wasn't there. And so it's like I'm with my family, but I'm still answering phone calls. I'm still sending out messages. And I'm like, I need to be working. Or if I'm in the office, I'm working, I'm like talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What do you need? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm there, but I'm not there. And that's just a recipe for disaster. So make sure you're intentional. And when you're with your family, you're there. You know, if you have to put your phone down, you know, text the team, hey, I'm away right now. Put your phone, turn it off, like whatever, but make sure you're present. And that's a huge thing that helped me. And I'm still working on, right? Because my team is also my family, right? Like I tell everyone, like, you guys are family, whatever you need, but there's a time where you have to separate the two. And I think that's a big, a big nugget right there.
For sure. That's huge, man. Because I didn't even think about that, but it's something that I have to get better at too. Like, it's like constantly on my phone, like checking something or responding to somebody. And you know, because it's different businesses. So I'll have an order pop up on my phone for somebody who ordered hats or a shirt or whatever. Then I have, you know, one of the parents texting me, hey, can we meet up, Timmy? I don't have a student named Timmy, but I'm just using that name. Can Timmy and I meet up at 10:45 instead of 11:30? And I'm like texting them, setting up appointments to when to teach them. And like, then, you know, I'm on the phone with Morgan, like, all right, we got to get on here. When do you have time to get on Zoom? So it's like always moving, which is great. But making sure that you're like you said, when you're present with your business, be present and actually work, and don't be like twiddling your thumbs and being like, oh, I'm working, but you're not really. Because then when you're with your family, you're gonna be like, dude, I didn't get anything done today. And then you're still on your phone anyways because you didn't get anything done. So it's just like, it's just, you gotta, I don't know the word, there's like a phrase for it, but basically you wrapped it up perfectly, man, where it's like, just be present. I think this was super awesome, dude, because I learned a lot. Mind you, I'm sorry, guys, I apologize. I know we did a little hybrid episode. We started off separated from the pack, and then we went to like spouse stuff, but just know that's how you separate from the pack too, man, because a lot of people are not treating their spouses this way. They're not planning their days out this way. They're not spending enough time with their family or on their business. So these are all separators from, you know, from the herd as well. So don't get it twisted, man.
If you don't mind, before we finish up, I was actually going to kind of tie that all in because I was thinking about that, and I was like, someone listening might be like, the heck, man, separated from the pack. You guys started talking about spouses, but guys, like, whoever's watching, that is so important, because let me explain one thing. and I won't go off on a tangent because I'm passionate about these topics and I can go forever.
Now we
But
need to take us to church, baby.
let me explain something. One thing. All right. When it comes to your business, your number one recruit is your spouse, right? Obviously yourself, you got to be passionate about what you're doing. You got to be committed and motivated and convicted. But outside of that, your number one recruit is your spouse. And I'm saying recruit because it's the dang truth. Anybody out there that gets weird about that word, you guys just need to change your mindset. And I'm being straight up and real with you. People get weird about that word. You're weird, right? And I'm serious, everybody recruits. Churches recruit, the army recruits, like every business, they have headhunters that go out and look for people to try to recruit them to the business. Everybody recruits. So if that word is weird to you, you need to change your mindset. This is what we're all talking about, separating from the pack. That's one of those things that you need to do. So disclaimer, just throwing it out there. I'll get off my high horse because I can go off on that topic. But I say
Jesus went 12 wide.
What's that?
I said Jesus went 12 wide.
Right? It's true though, guys. Like for reals. Like stop being weird about that word. You're weird. It's not a weird word. Everybody recruits. So just be real. Just be cool with it and just own it. So your number one recruit is your spouse. You will not separate from the pack. I'm telling you right now. You will not separate from the pack. You will not achieve your dreams and your goals if you don't have an absolute 100% understanding with your spouse about what you're trying to do and where you're going. And so if some of you guys were thinking like, oh, what the heck, this doesn't even make sense. It actually makes all the sense, because if you don't have that understanding with your spouse, you will never separate from the pack. And what's going to happen is if you don't get on the same page, the pack that you will end up separating from is the one that makes the most sense and the one that's most important, and it's your own family. Okay. So if you don't do this, you're going to separate from the pack that you wish not to ever separate from. And so I'm just telling you right now, make sure that you understand this, guys, because it's the most crucial point when separating from the pack. You have to be on the same page as your spouse and your family to be able to get to that next level, or it will never work. So just want to kind of tie that in because it's so important. And I agree. Someone might have been thinking that, but they didn't understand the full picture if they did. So I just want to get that point across. This is the most important thing. And if you do this, guys, I promise you, you're that much closer to actually separating from the pack and becoming successful.
So huge. My goodness, bro. That's what I'm talking about. I'm about to insert a mic drop and an explosion or something. So I'm gonna edit that in there. Sure.
We need to have like a name. It's like dropping nuggets.
Yeah, bro. We need to have that like an As My Left Voice type thing. Oh wait, I don't know if I spoke again. Whatever, I said it. But dude, that was so sick, bro. I just got the visual as you were speaking. Like, I don't know, man. I just see when you guys speak, it's like the way you guys, package your words. I can see like a story playing along with it. I just pictured like, chaos going around. There's a big crowd of people, and you're like with your family. You're trying to get your family through this crowd, and you're holding each other's hands. You're trying to like get them to the front and get away from the whole crowd. But then if you're not careful, you end up losing touch with them, and they get stuck in the crowd too, and you separated. You're like, dude, what the heck happened? Like, bro, that's crazy, man. Wow. Anyways, you guys are awesome. This was super cool. This is, man, I don't know. I'm gonna say this every time. This is one of my favorite ones. So let's keep it going, dude. Let's keep it going. I love you guys. This is super cool. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, come on, man. Don't do this to us.
That red button.
You're missing out, man. I'm gonna insert that too. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Till next time.